Chris Haynes of ESPN. He's an NBA reporter for ESPN, has been on the show multiple times. Glad to have back here. How are you, Chris?
Rich, thanks for having me, man. I'm doing fine.
Okay, so what can you tell me? Is it really looking like LeBron's going to the Lakers, best you can tell from all your sources, Chris?
As of right now, I say, people I've been talking to, sounds like it's 50-50 as of right now as it pertains to Cleveland. If you would have asked me this a week ago, I would have leaned heavily towards the Lakers. But this is the way I see it. The way it's been explained to me is that LeBron would like to, stay in Cleveland, keep his family there. The problem is Cleveland is going to have a difficult time trying to bring in players that, can help him continue to contend for championships, because LeBron, he's not satisfied in getting there. I think we've seen by his talent alone that he can take marginal talent to the finals in the Eastern Conference, but, he doesn't want to keep going and keep getting eliminated by the Golden State Warriors. So that's going to be the dilemma with Cleveland. And with the Lakers, I think even if he were, like, I know the Paul George thing, and I'm hearing Paul George as well. It sounds like he's leaning towards backward signing with OKC. I actually reported that probably about 2 months ago. But even if LeBron did go to L.A. by himself, I think the mindset is and the thinking is that L.A. being such an attractive market and with the assets that it wouldn't take any time at all for him to get the talent over there. So, as of right now, I think it's 50-50, but obviously things could change in a matter of hours.
Of course, absolutely. Chris Haynes here on the Rich Eisen Show. Let's dig into the Paul George a little bit more. 2 months ago, you were hearing what appears to be the case. Again, appears to be. How do we get Paul George going from I'm going to L.A., essentially, get me out of here in Indiana. I understand you say things to maybe get out of a situation you don't want to be in. And here he has a chance to come to L.A. and potentially team up with LeBron James, and he might not take it. Is that a money thing? Walk me through the thought process here, Chris.
No, I wouldn't even say it's a money thing. Me and Paul George actually went to school together at Fresno State. We had a class together, so I know him pretty well. Like, he doesn't like to reject people. He doesn't want to come off as he's spurning a team organization. He's a real loyal guy, and I know that probably sounds funny, being that we've heard for the last couple of years that he's wanted to bolt Indiana and go to the Lakers. But what OKC did, basically they had a recruiting ceremony for him the whole year already, and he doesn't want to come off as a 1 year rental and take off the league, because he knows how much Russell Westbrook has done. Time for him to help him get to that juncture in his career. So he wants to. I'm sorry, Rich. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Actually, it's gotten worse over the last couple seconds, but keep going, Chris.
Sorry.
No, you got it.
Sorry.
Hanging on every word you're saying.
Okay. So he's that's the type of guy he is, and I will add this. Is that, he's doing this, this special with us, ESPN, so we're kind of documenting his process through free agency. Mm-hmm. I have a hard time believing that he would leave OKC. Knowing Paul, knowing how he is, I have a hard time believing he would leave OKC and do it while airing this, kind of behind-the-scenes documentary. And so I just don't. It just doesn't point to him bolting, on top of what we've been hearing over the last couple of months anyway. So that's why if you ask me right now, that's why I say, my thinking is that he's going to stay.
Well, I mean, let's dig into this even further then, because look, I've met Kevin Durant on a couple of occasions. That's it. But just reading about him and having met him on those couple of occasions, he's a nice guy, too, who doesn't want to be seen like spurning anybody, who definitely has a sensitive side from what he has said about what has been said about him since he left Oklahoma City. Burner accounts as well. Will evidence that. And he's won MVP twice in a row of the finals. So when it's all said and done, I think that might put a Band-Aid over any hurt feelings. Paul George doesn't see that and maybe want that with LeBron in his hometown. He wouldn't be enticed by that?
No, I think you have a point there. I think the difference between Kevin Durant and Paul George is that Durant played there for 8 or 9 years in OKC. So it was a situation where it was building up, where he said, okay, I'm not getting to where I want to get at in my career. The proper pieces or the right style of play hasn't been played in order for us to get to that next step. So I think that's why I wouldn't say it was easier for him, but, it was a compilation of things. With Paul George, it's been one season, and I'm pretty sure OKC is selling him on okay, let's build upon this. Let's do what we need to do. Carmelo Anthony, the way they played him last year was allowing him to be in the starting lineup, to stay in the starting lineup. I think we're going to go in with some modifications to say, so Paul George, look, we're going a different direction. We're going to make you more of a focal point, and let's see where we can go. So I think that's attractive and appealing to Paul, and I'm not saying he'll sign there long term, but I definitely think the mindset and the thinking is right now that he will be back in OKC.
Okay. Chris Haynes of ESPN joining me here on the Rich Eisen Show, and you've been locked in with the Warriors for a couple of years now with the worldwide leader, and from my days at ESPN, I know the sensitivities to this, so I ask it with the utmost of respect. I don't want you to comment on another colleagues of yours reporting or refute it, or if you can confirm it, that'd be great. Is it true that LeBron texted Kevin Durant and said, hey, let's team up in Staples together? Is that true? He took a shot with KD?
I have not been able to confirm that. I actually text KD, and he said that's not true. And I spoke with LeBron's camp, and they said the same thing. But that's not, that's not to say my guy Stephen A. Was wrong in that. And we get information from all type of areas. So
sure.
I'm not sure. I mean, it doesn't sound outlandish. I will say that.
Well, you can't blame him for shooting a shot if that's the way it's going right now. I mean, man, and then the Kawhi of it all too. I mean, I can't get enough of it, Chris. I really can't. It's so dramatic with such big-name players and how it could rearrange chess pieces. The question is, though, is whenever everything drops, knowing the Warriors as you do and how good they are and what goes on in their locker room, do you think that when the dust settles over the next few weeks, we will have an entity somewhere in the NBA that can dethrone the Warriors?
Ooh. You know what, Rich? I will say this, man. I truly believe, and I know I'll probably get beat up for saying this, but I truly believe if Chris Paul was healthy and being able to play in those last couple of games, man, probably would have got him. I really do. I think Houston would have got Golden State. And if you look at this summer, you mentioned all the chess pieces, all the dominoes have to fall into place in order to create a semi-dynasty there in or a super team, in LA. The Kawhi Leonard factor, Rich, we're hearing all these people that these teams who are inquiring about Kawhi. Let me say this, from what was explained to me, you talk about Boston going Kawhi is not re-signing long term at Boston. That is not the case. So if I think that's one of the main reasons why Boston is not throwing the total package at San Antonio, because that's just not a destination for Kawhi. That's just not something he's intrigued with. It's the two LA teams. It's the Lakers and it's Clippers, and a lot has been made off the Lakers, but he wants to play home. He's from the San Diego area. He wants to play home and be happy, was what it was told. So, if the Lakers can pull that off, if they can get LeBron James over there, and then that's when I think, Paul George, if he hasn't made his decision by then, that's when I think minds can start to change. Plans can start to waver. And, like I said, it's just a domino effect. But we just don't know which domino is going to fall first, because obviously I think it has to fall in order for this whole free agency landscape to just open up.
Well, then I guess I'll ask you the last question as I asked Brian Windhorst on this subject. What's the time frame here? Because if LeBron wants to play with Kawhi, and I'm assuming that he would love to do, then he needs to hold off on signing to keep the pressure on the Lakers and the Spurs to make a deal to go get him. But he also doesn't want to come and play with Kawhi if the rest of the cupboard is totally bare, if it's only Lonzo left, because Popovich wants no piece of the Ball family. How do you see this all playing out? Paul George hanging back to see if he wants to be the third man in, if that's entirely possible under the cap, et cetera. What do you think how this all plays out, Chris?
I think it's for – I don't know if LeBron's going to go this route, but I obviously think it's in his best interest to hold out, to wait to see what happens. But I was told from Paul George's camp to Kawhi's camp to LeBron's camp is that they're all going to do independently what's best for them, and they're not going to wait for anybody else. And, I know there's been a lot of talk about people saying that those three guys have been talking and communicating. And, all three sides will say that's inaccurate, but I find that hard to believe that they haven't spoken. These are three biggest free agents on the market. Well, Kawhi potentially be a swap. I have a hard time believing that, but look, that's what they said they're going to do. So as of right now, we're of the mindset and belief that LeBron is going to make a decision relatively soon. I'm just not sure if Kawhi will have switched teams at that point.
Chris, great stuff. Thanks for the chat. We'll chat down the line.
Take care.
Appreciate it. You got it. That's it. That's Chris B. Haynes.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.